Hello, and welcome to the Streets Will Never Forget podcast. With me, Callum, known as Trail. I've got with me Callum, known as Wall, and Rob, known as Rob. How are we, boys?
Good, cheers, pal. All good.
Good.
Good Friday evening to everyone.
Good Friday. Well, this goes out on a Saturday.
This is a bit late, yeah, bit late that way.
Well, we're recording on a Friday, mate, so the public can rest assured that they've still got 2 days of the weekend left.
They won't hear this on Monday.
Well, if they're going late, then they can blame me on Monday.
This bloke on the podcast.
Fuming.
So, I'm glad you're both here again. We're here for another episode. I think this is episode 6. And
it is indeed, yeah.
We are doing this week American goalkeeper Tim Howard. Obviously, it's a bit different this week.
Timmy Howard.
Rob's excited about this one. Obviously, it's a bit different doing a goalkeeper this week. We were looking at different things. I know I found it a much different experience to research him. So we'll start, as always, with a quiz. Are we both ready?
Yes, mate.
I am, matey.
Ready as I'll ever be for another quiz.
Good. Question number 1. How many appearances does he have for the USA national team? I will take the closest answer if you don't know exactly.
Well, I know exactly, so
Rob,
as close as you want,
pal. I can give you the total appearances they had in the league, mate, but I can't give you his total American one. I'm guessing, if I was going to guess, I'd guess 107 to 120, somewhere in between that range.
Oh, wait, is this
international?
Sorry, is this his international caps, or is...
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Oh, yeah, 121.
121, exactly. So quite a lot of caps.
I'll take that, close.
To say he didn't play, he was under a couple of big goalkeepers at the time. Well, supposedly big goalkeepers.
Tall.
Yeah.
Question number 2. Which club is he a minority owner of?
Oh, not a clue. I would...
Oh, I guess it's going to be an American one, isn't it?
Surely. I'd say New York Red Bulls, because he played for them for a time.
Is it Minnesota?
Well, it's actually a bit of a trick one, because he's got in 2 clubs. One of them is Memphis 901 FC, who he currently plays for, and involved in coaching. And the other one is Dagenham and Redbridge.
Why?
God knows, mate.
Why not, mate?
Well, I suppose why not, yeah. Fair dues.
Question number 3. He scored 1 goal in his Premier League career. Who was it against?
Bolton
Wanderers. Question number 4.
Fun fact, they actually lost that game 2-1.
Is that a fun fact? Well, I suppose
imagine being Tim Howard in that game.
If you score a goal, you don't want to lose then, do you, as a goalkeeper?
Scoring a goal, be like, well, I've scored, so if I can score, the strikers must be able to.
I've done my job. Well, he's not done his job. He's scored, but he's not saved him.
Exactly. Question number 4. He set a World Cup record for most saves in a match against Belgium. How many was it?
15.
Well, you see, I've got 15, but then another article I read...
Oh, no, it's 16, isn't it? Yeah, actually, I think it is 16.
So I don't really know which one to believe, to be fair.
Well, you're going to have to go with the answer I've got, because I made the quiz, and that's 15.
Well, see, I watched a video, and then I think it counted, across, or like he basically jumped up and caught it. And even the commentators, when he got his 16th, or whatever it was, he said 16, so, I mean, I suppose...
16!
In today's game, that's probably not considered a save.
It's still buys his trousers.
16. Well, we'll take 15 or 16. And this one's a yes or no question for question number 5. Has he ever won the domestic league for any team he's played for?
No.
I would know. Well, he's never going to win it. Well, I don't know. No, I'm going to say.
I don't know.
I was thinking Man United, but then
no, he didn't win it.
I know in that season they didn't win it, did they? So no.
No, that's correct. No, he didn't. He hasn't won it anywhere in any of the leagues he's played for. So, moving on. We'll move on. Who wants to go first and give me what they've found?
You see, I think you should go first for this one, Tro.
There you go.
Because you've never been first before, so I feel like you should take the floor.
I'm pretty sure Charles started off Balotelli, actually, because it was his choice.
Yeah, that's true. No, I
can't remember. Well, anyway, yeah, Tro, go on. You can start.
Who came up with Tim Howard, anyway?
You, mate, wasn't it?
No, I think it was me. I can't remember.
It was a Wall.
Go on, Trail.
You can take the floor on Wall.
No, Trail, go on. We've already decided Trail. Go on.
So, Tim Howard. So, obviously, he's probably best remembered for playing for Everton. And to be honest with you, I couldn't remember a lot about him as a goalkeeper. But having looked at a few clips, done a bit of research of him, he's made some magnificent saves. Some really incredible ones. Some that, when you saw them on the TV, the commentator would definitely have gone, like, that's incredible, that's got to be saved of the season. And he made quite a few of them. I think I watched a lot of highlights of his Premier League career, not so much his recent ones. And he just made some incredible saves. Of course, he was bought by Manchester United, which is obviously a big endorsement for a goalkeeper, especially. Although he didn't play an awful lot for them or whatever, but he was bought in as a first choice keeper.
Number one, wasn't he, for a season?
Yeah, he was bought in as first choice, but obviously I don't know who replaced him at the time.
He
Van der Sar, I think it was.
No, was it Van der Sar?
Well, it was in the end. So they signed him initially, and I think he played well to start with. I think he made a couple of errors. One against Porto, I think, being the straw that broke the back, and he got replaced by Roy Carroll, great goalkeeper.
Roy Carroll.
And then
I always
the season
thought
after,
he's in a one for this podcast because I didn't think he was that bad. To be fair, Roy Carroll.
Can I give my Roy Carroll story?
A lot of unnecessary flack.
Can I give my Roy Carroll story? I never get a chance to tell this.
Yeah, I suppose. I mean,
it was. I don't know if you were there. Either of you two were there. It was an Everton Town game.
Oh, it's not when he gave the gloves to that kid, is it?
Yeah, the kid didn't want them. Yeah,
he's like, you forgot your gloves.
Yeah, I remember that day, mate.
Forgot your gloves, Roy. And then his dad was like, "He's giving them to you." I think it was like, "I don't want to." How demoralising must that have been to an Everton Town fan being like, "I don't want Roy Carroll's gloves." That's disgusting.
I don't know, mate. I reckon his money in the bank probably made up for it.
Yeah, very true. Tim Howard was a great penalty stopper. I've got joint 8th most penalties saved in the 21st century. He used his feet a lot to save penalties and free kicks, which I always think is good for a goalkeeper if he can use all parts of the body to stop the ball. It shows great awareness to use his feet and stuff like that, and I think that's a really underrated quality. He was only the second American to collect a winner's medal in the FA Cup, which, again, I think American footballers, there are a few that make it over here, but not an awful lot.
Who was the other doing now?
Yeah, it was back in 1873.
Oh, really?
It was a guy called Julian Sturgis who played for Wanderers.
Oh, wow. Well, that's a good quiz question. No one would ever know it.
I never would have heard Julian Sturgis.
Well, no.
And obviously, the one thing I do want to bring up as well is, when he scored that goal in the match, he didn't celebrate, which I find to be, really shows a lot about his character. And
he knew it were a fluke, didn't he?
Well, I think
Goalkeepers Union, mate.
Yeah, Goalkeepers Union.
Didn't they, that he'd said something like, "I know how embarrassing it would have been, and I didn't want it to. If that had been me, I wouldn't have wanted everyone to celebrate or whatever." And those goals are always luck, aren't they? Tim Howard's booted it up, the wind's taken it away, it's bounced just where it shouldn't have bounced, like it's Rocket League, and and it's gone straight over his head.
Classic bullshit.
Yeah, classic bullshit.
Not enough boost to save it at Adam Bognan.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. We're also talking about a man Tim Howard was the US Secretary of Defense as well. I'm sure you're both aware.
Is that just a nickname he got given because of all his saves?
No, it was edited on Wikipedia when he made loads of saves. He was made the US Secretary of Defense.
Oh, yeah. Actually, I think I recall.
And I think the actual US Secretary of Defense at the time rang him and said, "Thank you very much, Tim, for doing your duty for the country and defending us." But we're now.
They still lost that game.
But yeah, that's basically
it's not about that.
A lot of what I found. Well, I'll leave you two to debate it now. Who wants to go next?
Well, I'll carry on because I think where I was picking up from was talking about Roy Carroll.
Mm.
So yes, he was replaced by Roy Carroll in that season. He come back and won the FA Cup, played that game. And then the season after, I think again at that stage, Roy Carroll and Tim Howard were very inconsistent. I think they were getting swapped between the two of them at the time. No one could really cement down a place. And that's when they brought in Van der Sar.
Yeah.
But yeah, I totally agree with you, Chelsea fan. I think obviously this is the first goalkeeper we've done during this podcast. So it was a bit different trying to research. You can't look at goals, or you can look at his one. You can't look at his goals. You can't really look at his performance as anything apart from saves. Really, you don't really see any highlights of him, say, commanding the box or again, he was probably at the time goalkeepers weren't necessarily there to pass the ball out, play out from the back. He was probably your traditional shot stopper, but I think he did it very well. Saved a lot, made a lot of magnificent saves.
Yeah, some of them. Just like scooping the ball almost off the line.
Like deflections that have sort of sent him the wrong way, and then he's somehow still kept it out. Whether he's just put a trailing leg out, or he's somehow managed to push his arm back, or get a little nick on it.
He had fantastic reactions as well. Like I saw a clip of it where he made a save and then literally got up straight away to make another save. But he was like on the floor, like fully on the floor when he made his first save. But he was up to make a save from the deflection. And he was literally properly dedicated to getting back up. And a lot of goalkeepers, I think, especially the ones that aren't as good, would probably make a save and think, well, I've made a save. That's it. If it goes in now, that's the defender's fault. I've made my save. But he honestly made 2 or 3 saves in this one point I saw. I thought that's really good determination.
I think that's always a good sign of a goalkeeper as well. Like, it's all right saying, they're a very good shot stopper, but when it comes to double saves, when it comes to these sort of like, deflections, and you still manage to keep them out, these are the ones that are make a good goalkeeper a great goalkeeper.
Yeah. What about you, Rob?
Slightly off topic, but has anyone ever seen Bowes Myhill versus Tottenham when he played for Hull?
Maybe. What happened?
Well, that's why I'm saying, like, if you want to see, that's I would say arguably one of the best goalkeeper performances I've ever seen. It finished 0-0. And you can still watch it on YouTube, to be fair. If you go on YouTube and just search Bowes Myhill versus Tottenham, made some absolutely ridiculous saves that game. He must have made 4 or 5 world-class saves.
Yeah.
Playing for Hull at the time, and it's absolute insanity. So, yeah, make sure you go away, give it a search, give it a watch. We just got to be thinking, because we were talking about double saves and getting back up, and in there he made multiple double saves and some absolute world-class saves in that game, to be fair to him.
So
to say isn't a recognised
Bowes Myhill better goalkeeper than Tim Howard?
Well, no, I'm saying in terms of individual performances, I've just randomly came to me when we're talking about performances like that was arguably, I reckon, the best goalkeeper performance I've ever seen.
How often does Bowes Myhill come to your head?
Well, I think not very often, mate. It's only when we're talking about goalkeeper.
I can't remember last time I thought Bowes Myhill.
But well, there you are, mate. Cause he's never really been,
next episode
number one, has he, bar Hull? So when you think about it, go away and watch it, mate, and let me know your opinion next week.
Nice.
Yeah, don't worry.
Let's hear your thoughts about Tim Howard instead.
Tim Howard.
We'll cut the Bowes Myhill stuff.
Trust me, you want to watch it, Will. You want to watch it. Probably, underrated goalkeeper, wasn't he, Tim Howard, to be fair. Timothy Matthew Howard. Very underrated, to be fair to him. Timber. 132 clean sheets. 247 catches I've got. Cost Everton £4 to £6 million to sign him, which when you think Kepa Arrizabalaga cost Chelsea 75 million, and you're getting someone of Tim Howard's quality for 4 to 6, then yeah, absolute bargain. I always go back to, again, I think his performance in 2010 World Cup. He got for USA. I think they hadn't been at the World Cup for a few tournaments, and then he turned up and got back-to-back man of the matches. And obviously his performance against Belgium, I know we've probably all for research gone back and watched the saves, but in there were 2 absolute world-class saves, 2 one-on-ones,
really good ones.
And to make 15 stops against, that's actually a World Cup record, isn't it, for the most saves during a World Cup match. And then I think not only that, obviously it was the first time, I think, ever on Twitter there was the hashtag of things Tim Howard could save, because it was just a brick wall, wasn't it? It was an absolute brick wall that night. But no, I think vastly underrated. I think quality shot stopper. He was, commanded his area well. He was tall, he was big, he was vocal. And I often think when I go back to sort of that era and I look at teams again, you're going to hate me for this trail, but I look at a team like Arsenal who, had such goalkeeping inconsistency, and then you wouldn't go and sign a consistent goalkeeper for like Tim Howard from Everton, who was, let's be honest, Everton they never have been during my lifetime challenged for any major honours. So why on earth you wouldn't go and say, here's 15 million, let us have Tim Howard? Beyond me, because he was a quality goalkeeper on his day. He's also set the Everton club record, most clean sheets in a season of 17.
It's good.
Like you were saying earlier, used his feet well, used his hands well, some high stuff saves, some real good saves. So no, it's sort of again very underrated for me, and it sort of baffles me why he wasn't during that period linked to sort of a bigger team at that point, because it certainly warranted it. I have got an interesting fact that, did you know he had Tourette syndrome?
Yes, I saw that as well.
Yeah, I was going to bring it up. I remember reading about it a few
read
years back,
sort of
actually.
an article which relevant sort of from that, where he said these exact words: "I could see things that other people didn't seem to be able to. When a game was about to shift, could sense the attacking patterns before they happened. I knew exactly when the winger was about to cross the ball." So, I don't know if that's sort of what he found out from sort of the conditions he has. But yeah, it's certainly, like I said, his performance in the World Cup in 2010 sticks out to me. I remember watching it. I remember watching that game, and it was sensational. Everything Belgium. I know they lost in the end, but when you think about the quality Belgium had at the time, the likes of Hazard, I think Lukaku was playing then as well. They had some real good players, Belgium, and for at that point in time, for USA, you don't really look at USA as icons of football, do you? You could argue he's arguably their best ever player. I know they had the likes of Clint Dempsey and Landon Donovan, and now they've got the likes of Pulisic and that Reina from Dortmund. But no, I would say arguably the best American football player of all time.
I'm glad you said that, Rob, because that leads on to my next bit. Is he the best American footballer of all time?
Well, my answer is yeah, mate. I think
Rob's answered it.
What about you?
If Pulisic can find some, I don't know if he can
Success.
come good in the next few years, then maybe. But for the time being, yeah, he's the one who stands out as the greatest American football player of all time.
What about Tom Brady?
Well, totally different sport,
talking American football.
You said best American footballer.
I mean, he probably is, to be fair. I mean, I don't really know much about that, but
so, what do you think then? Best American footballer ever?
I mean, goalkeeper, definitely.
Better than Brad Friedel?
Well, you see, Brad Friedel, yeah, he was a good player as well, wasn't he?
See, that's something I want to speak about in a little bit, so I'll bring that up in a minute. But I think, I mean, it's hard, isn't it, always to compare goalkeepers to outfielders, because, Clint Dempsey obviously was a great player when he played for Fulham, and to be fair, he was decent when he played for Spurs as well. But yeah, Tim Howard, he just had consistency, didn't he? And, he just passionate, hard working. You could see that he loved football. As also Rob mentioned, with his Tourette's, obviously he's pushed through that and still managed to make a hell of a career. Played for, the biggest club in the world. And then, Everton, definitely. And then, but then obviously still had a great career throughout the Premier League. He won the FA Cup. He was in the team of the season in his first season in England. You don't get that without working hard and being a great player.
Yeah, so obviously best American footballer, I've got a couple of other names, obviously Pulisic, Dempsey, Landon Donovan, Brad Friedel, Josie Altidore, Yedlin, people like that.
Josie Altidore.
Hey, class player.
What a player.
Couldn't hit a barn door.
What a player.
These are the American
To be
players.
fair though, Wall, in the American League, the MLS, he was absolute on fire, wasn't it? Everything he touched
be on fire in the MLS.
That says a lot.
David Beckham literally made a team to go into the tournament. Like, he just make a team because of that shit.
But no, better than Landon Donovan for me. I know Landon Donovan played for Everton, good player. But yeah, Tim Howard was just sort of, in terms of American footballers, I think just sort of the level above.
That's fair enough. My other question, it relates to this one. Is he the best Everton goalkeeper ever?
Well, they've had some half-decent ones, haven't they?
Well, the ones I've got...
I know there was...
Jordan Pickford, obviously, the most recent one. Neville Southall.
No, yeah, he was a big one, wasn't he, for
Nigel Martin, Stecklenburg, Ruddy.
I think
same level as Southall, but
I think definitely the last 20 years. Yeah, I mean, I'd never saw Neville Southall play or the Nigel. I didn't catch his surname.
Martin.
I've never seen
him play. Didn't he play for Arsenal, Trail?
I think he did briefly. Yeah. Let me.
Definitely in the Premier League era. I think we're looking at Everton's best goalkeeper.
Oh no, he didn't. Martin played 2003-2006 for Everton. Before that, he was Leeds, Crystal Palace, and Bristol Rovers.
No.
23 caps for England.
Yeah, I'd agree with Wall. I think obviously the Neville Southall one. I know he's the highest. I think someone said if he fell too short from research, he fell somewhere like 2 appearances short of his record. Obviously, he got over 100 clean sheets for Everton. But certainly of our generation, I would say, I think Pickford struggled a bit this season, hasn't he? And sort of got a long way to go. before he reaches cult hero status of Tim Howard at Everton. So certainly of our generation, yeah, for what you paid for him, 4 to 6 million, you got every penny's worth, didn't you? So of our generation, yes, certainly the best goalkeeper Everton have had.
So has anyone got anything to add before we move on to our ratings?
Well, yeah, I mean, I'd like to bring, much like when I did the Scott Park episode, I've grabbed a couple of names. I was going to throw them out and a couple of stats. Yeah. And I mean, to be fair, I think looking at it, this probably supports what we're saying about Tim Howard and how good he was. But I want to compare him to 3 goalkeepers.
Go on.
So the first one, I'm going to compare him to his replacement at Manchester United. I've already mentioned Van der Sar. I'm only using Premier League stats here. So Tim Howard, he's made 399 appearances in the Premier League, 132 clean sheets, and he's conceded 385 goals, which is just under 1 per game, which shocked me, actually. That's really high. Oh, sorry, I thought it was really high.
How many goals conceded?
He conceded 385 in 399 appearances.
Okay.
Which also says, because he had a lot of clean sheets, also meant he conceded many times in certain matches.
Well, that's what I mean. And you asked me to look at a lot of them over the last probably 10 years, a lot of the big scoring games. You remember, I think Arsenal, was it 6-1, something like that?
Yeah.
I know Chelsea battered him back 6-0 once as well. But anyway, yeah. So Van der Sar, he had 313 appearances in the Premier League, 110 goals conceded, 132 clean sheets.
110 goals conceded?
That's what it said from what I found, yeah, which is ridiculous.
That's great stuff.
110?
Yeah, think about it though. Think about the United team at the time. A goal every 3 games, probably about right.
I mean, to be fair, there was that period where he didn't concede for over 1,000 minutes.
Yeah, but he played for Fulham, didn't he, before? And I can't imagine them keeping many clean sheets.
Not sure. By the way, that's what I found.
How long was it at Fulham for there?
Not too long, I don't think. A couple of years max.
A couple of seasons, I think.
Yeah, but I don't know. Yeah, but Fulham were a better
Who's the other one then, Wall?
Well, there's 2 more. So, next one is, I say Manchester United's current goalkeeper, but Dean Henderson's taking that at the moment. But yeah, David De Gea. So he's had 337 appearances and he's conceded 343. And he's had 122 clean sheets.
So less clean sheets, but less goals conceded.
Yeah, so he's had 60 less appearances, 10 less clean sheets. But when we talk about De Gea, we say this guy was probably one of the Premier League's best goalkeeper for the last few years, minus probably this season.
Mate, if you were to throw it out there, I would say of our generation, I would say if you were to ask me in the prime who's the best goalkeeper the Premier League's ever seen, I would say in prime, I would say David De Gea.
Well, exactly, and you again, I'm surprised by the amount of goals that he's conceded.
Yeah.
But then I see, obviously, you see it linked with, I suppose, his rough start in England, much like Tim Howard, and obviously his the struggles that United went through after Ferguson left, and then obviously he's had his couple of drops in form over the last season or so. But we've always, we've considered him one of the best goalkeepers in the last, 5-6 years. His stats are lining up very similar to Howard.
Who's the third one?
So the third one is Brad Friedel.
Yeah.
I want to compare him to arguably the other great American goalkeeper to play in the Premier League. So Friedel, obviously, significantly more appearances, 450. He's conceded 306 goals, so nearly 79 less. But he's had the same amount of clean sheets, 132.
That's really interesting.
So what are you thinking? You thinking we rank those in order?
Well, not necessarily rank them in order, but I wanted to sort of put Howard against probably the 3 biggest goalkeepers that if we're comparing them to great goalkeepers, his replacement, his American rival.
But I think it's different, innit? I'd take Van der Sar totally out of the equation. Because I think, you look at United at the time with Vidic and Ferdinand, Evra and Neville. I reckon one of us could have played in goal and still won the league.
So would Howard have had would he have conceded so much less? Would he have been the same quality as Van der Sar had he have been around that defence?
Let's be honest, yeah. I mean,
I reckon so.
Van der Sar spent the majority of his career at Manchester United, didn't he? One of the greatest teams in the country. And Tim Howard spent more of his career at Everton than he did at Man United, who, as we've already said, didn't win an awful lot, or haven't won an awful lot in our lifetime anyway, if anything. So, yeah, I mean, when you look at the stats that way, I suppose Tim Howard probably would have done better behind that back 4.
Yeah, I reckon, given a bit more time, but obviously United were a winning club at the time, weren't they? The mentality was to win and with the big trophies. So, no surprise, Sir Alex wouldn't have had the patience to work and let it, give him time. At that team, you've got to perform, and you've got to perform straight away, ain't you? So no, it doesn't shock me. And obviously, Van der Sar was, again worth every penny, wasn't he? Because he was sensational for United. But yeah, I think had given time, I think Tim Howard could have been a much better goalkeeper at United.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I totally agree with that.
But yeah, I just think it's interesting. All right, he might have conceded a lot more than maybe we thought at first, but you compare him to the other goalkeepers, and his numbers still line up pretty well.
So, moving on then to ranking him. Once again, I'll remind you that we rank this based on how underrated they are or overrated they are. So, rank number 1, obviously being the streets will never forget. Rank number 2, the streets should remember him. Rank number 3, the streets can do what they like. Rank number 4, the streets should probably forget him. And rank number 5, the streets should definitely forget him. And I would like to go first to Rob.
I'm going to stick him in rank 2, I think, mate.
Okay.
I think we spent a lot of time last week, didn't we, with Adel Tourette, where I said there's got to be, for me, like an iconic moment. Like last week, I said Adel Tourette, he had his iconic moments in the Championship, didn't he, when he was absolutely unplayable. And Tim Howard also not only was, like we've discussed, a great goalkeeper, commanded his area well, unbelievable saves on his day, good hands, good catching, knew when, used his feet, like you were saying, really well. A couple of saves against Belgium in the World Cup with his feet. But yeah, he's also got that iconic moment, hasn't he, in the World Cup, when he was, not only has he got that World Cup record, but also the fact that for that game he was absolutely just a man mountain, wasn't he, a brick wall. So yeah, I think in fairness to him, great goalkeeper, underrated in his time, would have been all right. I think he had that season at Everton when he got into the first team did really well. I think he could have played for a top club given time, and so yeah, for me, rank 2.
So would that one, you said obviously he's got to have that magical moment. Does that appearance at the World Cup not count as that for you to make him rank 1?
No, because I think it's got to be. He's got that sort of like, you're not going to sit there and say, when everyone talks about, like Gordon Banks and that save from Pele and the greatest save of all time. You're never going to put him in sort of that category.
He's got a record though.
But I think but in, like, on that day, he was absolutely sensational, like I've said. And he's got that fact that that when people think of Tim Howard, they'll think of that. When we first discussed him, I instantly thought of that game. I can't remember whether it was 2014, 2010, but just like the World Cup game where he was just, a brick wall. And so I think he's got that moment, but certainly in terms of, when the things what Adel Tourette did with football, you get kids down the park, you get them trying it, you get, he was just simply created moments on his own. So for me, he doesn't have the same. He's obviously had a much better career and things like that, but in terms of the streets never forgetting them, I think the streets will long remember Adel Tourette more than they would Tim Howard. But Tim Howard, like I said, still going to be in rank 2, simply because he's a great goalkeeper and man mountain at times.
What about you then, Will? Where are you going to put him?
Well, I am going to break my duct and stick him in rank 1.
Do you want to explain why?
Well, yeah. So again, we talk about these. We talk about the moments, and we mention it all the time. And I think obviously his USA, his match against Belgium, that's his moment. So it's a record. Magnificent performance. And that just sort of sums him up as a goalkeeper. Great shot stopper. Commanding, big. 1-on-1s, he's winning them. They're having the shot, then he's saving them. The pressure's always on the striker to score those. The goalkeeper's always, he's never the favourite in those situations.
Yeah.
And yet he's coming out on top. I think it's hard to compare him to Adel Tourette when you're talking about a goalkeeper and an attackive trickster winger, number 10. But if we're looking at him as a goalkeeper and an underrated goalkeeper, then he's absolutely an underrated goalkeeper. He has, as I've thrown out the stats, comparing him to David De Gea, we've said is, who has arguably been the best Premier League goalkeeper for the last 5 years, his numbers line up pretty much with where where De Gea would be if he had the same amount of appearances. For me, that shows the quality he had. And he didn't have a title-winning defence in front of him. He had the likes of Johnny Heitinger and Phil Neville's probably there at some point.
He's a World Cup finalist, though. War Johnny Heitinger.
Leave
Take
Phil
the
Neville
mic,
alone.
he's played in a World Cup final.
I'm not Phil Neville slander.
And who's the other lad? That other fullback, Stubbs. Was he there that time? Alan Stubbs. That's what I mean. And he's still
I don't
managed.
think he's long gone by that point, hasn't he?
I don't think so. Anyway,
dead.
But anyway,
we're sorry to Alan Stubbs' family. By any chance you might hear this.
Great player, great goalkeeper, underrated, rank 1.
Okay.
What do you think, Trail?
So, it's very difficult with this one because before I thought about it all, I was thinking rank 3. Before we even did any research, I thought I don't think he's that special. Going into this, after my research and stuff, I was thinking rank 1 because I totally agree with you. If we're talking about underrated, I think you never hear someone. I never hear anyone talk about Tim Howard, and I think he was a phenomenal goalkeeper. But the more I've heard you two, I'm thinking I'm torn between 1 and 2.
I would say
try and persuade me both
this
of you.
Trail that if we're going to talk about underrated, and you didn't stick Scott Parker in rank 1 when we talk about underrated defensive midfielders, if you didn't stick him in rank 1, there's no chance you can talk about underrated and stick Tim Howard in rank 1.
But we compared him to Barry and Carrick, and he didn't hold up. Howard's held up against these big goalkeepers.
Yeah, but that's because we were comparing him to Carrick, who's a totally different player. I might as well. It's like comparing
to Balotelli.
Tim Howard to Van der Sar. It doesn't work because they play for two entirely different teams.
But
it doesn't work, does it? Because one of them had Rio Ferdinand, Patrice Evra, Gary Neville, and Nemanja Vidic in front. The other one had bloody Alan Stubbs.
Leave Alan Stubbs alone. I think I'm going to go with my instinct at the start of this episode. I'm going to say rank 1. I know it's going to upset you, Rob. I just think we're talking about underrated.
No, mate, no chance.
The streets should never forget him. You look at he made world-class saves regularly. There's a video on YouTube I watched about 7 or 8 minutes of him making world-class saves. And
I watched one. It was just it was a season as well. It wasn't his career. It was a season.
Yeah, and he made them. And then, like I say, we've compared him to, like I say, Wall has pushed me a bit more towards rank 1 with those stats you've given.
I've worked hard on them.
You're comparing him to Van der Sar, who I think Van der Sar is a better goalkeeper than David De Gea. And I think when you try and compare them, I just think Tim Howard for me has to be massively underrated. Looking at those stats, looking at the record. I mean, the World Cup record thing's not that great because it just means he faced a lot of shots. He could have faced 50 shots and saved 15 of them. Not that he did, but you know what I mean. But for me, I can't believe I've underrated him for so long that I thought rank 3 before I went into this.
Well, to be honest, mate, I was thinking 3 or 4 before we started this.
4? Jeez Christ!
3 or 4. I just thought, he was just a bog standard mid tier goalkeeper, and I was wrong.
No United bias from you then?
No, definitely not.
Rob, are you crying or have you recovered?
I reckon so, mate. I reckon we're talking absolute nonsense. Stick Adel Tourette in rank 3. And then we stick Tim Howard in rank 1.
Adel Tourette had one season, and I still put him in rank 2. I didn't put him in
Yeah, but
I didn't say he was crap.
Like I've said, you've seen the stuff Tourette did. Show me any other footballer since then who's done the skills he did that season.
Stubbs.
He's simply gone.
Well, let's put Tim Howard in the Championship and now see how he holds up. See what his numbers look like then. They look a lot better.
He's still playing.
He's still playing. The league is probably its quality of the Championship when Tourette were in there.
Right, so we'll end this.
We're putting him in rank 1.
Unfortunately, Rob, because 2 of us have said rank 1, Tim Howard is into rank 1. I think he's our first rank 1 player.
Go on, Timmy.
So well done, Tim Howard. Thank you very much. It's been another fantastic episode. I also just want to say thank you to everyone that does listen to episodes, all the new subscribers we've got. It's really very much appreciated. I think our Tourette video is one of our fastest growing videos, and that was just last week. So we're really grateful for that. And yeah, like I say, thank you very much for joining me.
Fastest growing, and we're stuck in where?
Get over it. Thank you very much, boys, for joining me today. It's been a pleasure.
Cheers, boys. Take care. Rob won't even say goodbye. He's fuming.
Rob.
See you later, Alan Stubbs.